Hello friends. In our last video, we ended up with understanding the Mendel's work. Now, we proceed to understand the laws of Mendel. But before we proceed to understand the laws of Mendel, let us understand some basic terms. What is a genetic cross? A deliberate breeding of two different individuals that results in offspring that carry part of genetic material of each parent is called as a cross. For example, Mendel crossed plants with purple colored flowers with white colored flowers. What do alphabets represent in a cross? The alphabets represent the alleles of a gene pair denoting a trait. Uppercase letters denote dominant trait and lowercase letters denote a recessive trait. A dominant trait is one which is expressed physically, while a recessive trait remains suppressed. For example, in the flower colors, the purple color is dominant, that is expressed, over white, which remains suppressed. What is a monohybrid cross? A cross between parents that differs in allele they possess for one particular trait only is called as a monohybrid cross. A dihybrid cross is a cross between two different genes that differ in two observed traits. For example, the picture way shows a capital R that stands for color and T that stands for height. So we study the flower color and the height of the plant together. A homozygous character, an organism that has two identical alleles for a gene, is called as homozygous. Heterozygous, an organism that has two different alleles for a gene, is called as heterozygous. Genotype, made up of the many alleles that the organism possesses. Phenotype, an individual's physical appearance determined by its alleles as well as the environment. This is a figure of a genetic cross. It explains all the terms which we have understood right now. In the cross, a red flower with genotype, that is homozygous, that is capital R and capital R, is crossed with the second parent, which is a white flower with the genotype small r, is also homozygous for its character. During the process of meiosis, the possible gametes are formed from the first parent. The gametes are capital R and capital R. And from the second parent, the possible gametes are small r and small r. During the process of fertilization, there is a possibility of 4 possible combination of alleles in the offsprings. When capital R fuses with small r, capital R small r is formed and the phenotype of the flower is red color. Similarly, you can see all the 4 offsprings are heterozygous in nature and have the genotype of capital R small r and are red in color. So the first generation is 100% red for the phenotype of the cross. In this process, we also see that capital R is dominant while small r, that is white color, is recessive. Based on these studies and crosses, the Mendel stated his first law, which is also called as the Law of Segregation. Mendel hypothesized that allele pairs separate randomly or segregate from each other during the production of gametes. Because the allele pairs separate During gamete production, a sperm or an egg carries only one allele from each inherited trait. When the sperm and egg unite at fertilization, each contributes its allele, restoring the paired condition in the offspring. This cross further explains clearly the first law of segregation. I have taken two plants of the first generation from the previous cross. That is, the parents are heterozygous in nature for red flower. Their genotype is capital R small r and capital R small r. According to Mendel, they segregate during gamete formation. So the possible gametes of the first parent are capital R and small r, and similarly from the second parent, capital R and small r. During this segregation, the genetic material is halved into the two gametes, and during the process of random fertilization of gametes, they unite together to restore the paired condition in the second generation. So when capital R fuses with capital R, a red flower with genotype capital R is obtained. Whereas when capital R fuses with small r, a red flower is obtained again with the genotype capital R small r. When capital R of the second parent fuses with small r of the first parent, again a red flower is obtained with genotype capital R small r. And when two small r's fuse together, a white flower is obtained. So the possible combination of the offsprings comes in the ratio of 3 red flowers is to 1 white flower. You can also see that the recessive trait expresses itself only in the homozygous condition. In the heterozygous condition, capital R is dominant over the small r. In the next videos to come, we shall study the next two laws of Mendel.